You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show. Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire. Thanks, listener, for joining me today. And also, thank you, Mr. Keke Mullari, for joining today. How are you, Keke?
Terve. Yes, all good. Looking forward to getting into this, mate. It's been a while. A lot has happened in the world of Finnish football, both miserable and some celebrations as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's right. Listener, we're going to start by taking you down and then bring you up towards the end of the show so that you head into that Christmas holiday in a positive mood. I don't know about you, Keke. I'm a bit tired. I'm just generally tired at the moment. Life is busy. And that's why we haven't got the Finnish Football Show's collective asses together, asses in order, and got a podcast out for a while. So we have got some catching up to do.
We do.
Thankfully, the Veikkaus League season finished. I'm not quite sure that we ever actually finished off the Veikkaus League season, to be honest with you. But that would almost be like a Finnish football history podcast by now. So let's keep it a little bit fresh. So, listener, we're gonna go through the recent. It's international. That's why I've got my blue and white gear on today. It's international football episode. We'll look at the final two Nations League games for the Huuhkajat, the men's national team. Then look at the Helmarit, the women's national team, who've just played their final playoff game in the Euro 2025 competition or qualifying competition. And also recently the Pikkuhuuhkajat, the young men's under 21s team. So we'll talk about them qualifying for the Euros next June as well. Just thinking about next June, Keke, all these international competitions.
We're going to be busy.
I feel a little bit more tired now. I'm weary. Yeah. Right, let's up the tempo. I might get down and do a few push-ups or something to get the blood flowing. Let's start by looking back at the men's national team. Finland played away in Ireland in the fifth of their six Nations League games and went down 1-0 to Ireland over there in Lansdowne Road. And you were there, Keke.
I was there.
It's always good to get your experience of being in the ground as well.
Yeah, listen, it's been quite the running theme recently, but yeah, cracking trip, not so great experience on the pitch, but no, yeah, as I said, my first time in the Republic of Ireland, Dublin was fantastic. Really good to get down there and sink a few Guinnesses. Met up with the boys, and and it was great. Nice.
Important question: does a Guinness actually taste different or better in Dublin?
Well, I hadn't had one before then, so it was my first Guinness was in Dublin in Ireland. And I can't put it down now. So yeah, I'm hooked.
I can't believe you've never even tried it before.
No,
That's fine.
It was I was firmly strong continental lager before that, but now I don't mind a Guinness now.
Oh,
so,
get you.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, finally broadening my horizons. But no, listen, great trip. Plenty of fans there for what really, I don't know what we really expected, but yeah, there's plenty of fans there, all in good voice. Met up in the pub, had a bit of a sing song, had a bit of a walk to the ground. Not quite a march. It was a bit like herding cats, but yeah, we
sounds familiar.
Managed to get ourselves into the ground, and yeah, decent little atmosphere, lovely stadium. They call it the Aviva Stadium these days, but lovely little ground, and yeah, it was, and then things sort of unfolded on the pitch as to a regular, what has come to be a shockingly regular underperforming Finland
But
side.
was it an underperformance? Because I,
Uh,
I mean, okay, stats are one thing. I've just watched the highlights again before we came on
yep,
here. I did watch the
yep,
game live, and
yep.
I feel like during this whole win, like previously, we came out of the England away game and we were all positive and surprised ourselves about
Yeah,
how positive we were. And I feel like many of these games this autumn, we've been all right in patches,
no,
and
that's right.
and like just a few stats from that Ireland game. Um, Finland had 56% of the possession, 453 accurate passes against 334,
Hmm.
14 shots, 5 on target against 15 and 3 on target. I mean, I know the most important. I mean, and that those passes. Okay, slightly more, maybe 60, 55, 60% were in our own half. So that tells some kind of story. And the main stat obviously is the 1-0,
Yeah,
but it didn't I don't remember it feeling awful on the day apart from the goal going
yeah,
in. Obviously Ireland had one disallowed early on from
yep.
Smodic, which could have made a big difference, but generally, I mean, we hit the post a couple of
That's right.
times
Yep.
during the game.
Robin Lod was unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lovely sort of
Cold
curled
shot.
shot from
Yeah.
the edge of the box that sort of just a few inches to the right, and it's inside the post. And Ant-Man had that shot that was deflected off the defender. The keeper was nowhere. So
I'm sorry. Just speaking about the keeper, I mean, from the reports, he came away with a man and a match award.
oh
Kelleher,
yeah, yeah,
the Irish keeper. So it does tell you a bit of a story. And that you went through a few of the stats there, and the one that does, I mean, Christ knows how to come up with it. But when you look at the XG, the expected goals
mm,
stat, I mean,
mm.
yeah, Finland were ahead in that as well. Ireland on 1.4 and Finland on 2.2 almost. So yes, we because of those chances that sort of have just shaved the woodwork. So
I tell you what, Keke,
yeah,
in the Senior Hockey podcast that me and Jules make, we made this comment about nobody knows how expected goals works, and the
yeah.
next morning I had a 6.5 minute voice message from Stevie Grieve explaining to me exactly how expected goals works. So
So
some
if
people know.
anyone's interested,
Yeah, I should maybe put it out as a bonus
yeah,
episode.
yeah, that'd be good.
Uh,
But yeah, anyway, so that's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean,
and the missed
mate,
penalty as well,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
or
come on,
saved penalty.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a bit of a sickener to come out of there, on the back of another defeat. Yeah, I mean the penalty, you put your house on Yolle burying that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a tough one. Another tough away day, mate.
I tell you what. I do. The other thing that Stevie said when me and Jules went and spoke to him was that none of these commercially available apps are particularly accurate. So all of this, my mate FOTMob tells me this. Take with
Yeah.
a pinch of salt. But there's one really useful stat on there that I like while I'm watching a game as well is the momentum
Mm.
um,
Your
thing, which
pendulum swing.
yeah, showing kind of where the pressure is, I guess, and which team has the ball and where they have it on the pitch, and
Mm.
that's got quite a lot of blue for Finland as well. So I think it kind of backs up what I was feeling on the day.
Yeah.
What about the lineup that we had that day? I mean, I was critical of Benjamin Chelman before or after the previous games, and I thought he was good. He had that really unlucky header where the ball was basically going behind him and he managed to sort of dive backwards and wrap his head round
Yeah.
it and get it just past the post. And I thought that he had one of his better games there as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Bennett's been doing absolute wonders in the Polish extra cluster. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he sort of deserved his spot from his league form, and yeah, I mean, he's always a willing runner. That you can't fault his effort. Do you know what I mean? He's shown that he can finish for his club side. So yeah, it's I wasn't upset to see him start.
And then we moved on a couple of days later to the home game against
Yeah,
Greece, and
yeah.
we had a couple of our boys in the stadium. I suppose we should remind the listener that the away game, this was the first game of this Nations League was away to Greece, and again that was a game that started with a reasonable
Quite brightly.
first half or first quarter performance, and then Greece won the game 3-0. Before we discuss this one, let's have a little let's hear from Ali Manson, who was there in the Olympia Stadium that day.
Hello, everyone. It's Ali Manson here. Just to give a very brief recap on Finland 0, Greece 2, which happened a few weeks ago, but in all honesty, feels like a lifetime ago. It's not a game that's going to live long in the memory. If you haven't seen the highlights, save yourself some time, basically. Finland went into half-time at 0-0, which isn't a bad result, but to be honest, they weren't the better team. Greece controlled things pretty much from start to finish, but there was definitely a lot of effort from Finland. Greece in the second half stepped it up and scored 2 goals in, I think, about 4 minutes. The second one from Siolis, which I'm hoping I'm saying that right, was a worthy effort to win any game, really. Of course, it did really come from a Finland mistake, but he did score from 35, 40 yards. And when a player does that, you just have to doff your cap, which I think is a saying. Anyway, the atmosphere in the stadium was kind of bleak, if I'm honest. I mean, the fans didn't stop singing in the Pohjois-Skara, but a few games ago, Rive lost the moderates. And what I mean by that is the moderates are the fans who will be patient, will give players time, will give the management time. And all that goodwill has kind of evaporated now. And as soon as that happens, a coach is in trouble. And Rive has been obviously fantastic for Finland, but I think everyone wants a change. They got a change now. So I'm sure the lads will be dissecting that if they haven't already and giving their views on the matter. But the atmosphere was just, you kind of felt from the beginning that everyone sort of wanted the game to be over, which again is not good. And I think the players sort of sensed that. They did run around a bit. They did try their best. I'm not saying that the players have thrown in the towel completely, because ultimately they're playing for Finland and there's a lot of pride at stake, even if they knew that they were going to be relegated into League C of the Nations League, which I guess we will start thinking about in about 18 months' time. Just a very tiny little point on Huuhkajat as well. They are in the Europa Conference League still, just about. And they did lose in Greece against Panathinaikos, which was a shame. But of course, going away to Panathinaikos is a tough game. It was only 1-0, so it wasn't an embarrassment. However, the next 2 games are going to be hard. There is Molde at home, which I'm going to, which should be a cracking game, but one that I'm not expecting Huuhkajat to win. But you never know. However, the game after that, away to Real Betis, that's going to be a fun trip to Seville for a couple of hundred Huuhkajat fans. They should probably get some sunshine as well. So if they're not there for the football, at least they can top up their vitamin D.
Thanks for that, Ali. Keke, first let's have your thoughts on the game, and then perhaps we can have a chat about Markku Rive Kanerva. First of all, the game.
Yeah. So it was an interesting lineup. Obviously, by this time we've lost all our previous games. We sort of know we're going to finish rock bottom. So don't know. It was an interesting lineup, I guess. Call it a 5-4-1, I guess. But yeah, Daniel Hawkins was the surprise for me. Not that he was playing, but he was stuck down there at sort of wing back, and we've seen talented forward players stuck down there at wing back before. So yeah, it was a bit like a bit deja vu with that. You know, Daniel Hawkins didn't have a bad game. He did all right while he was on the pitch for 75 minutes.
For someone who was on the pitch as a defender, I'm noticing he won no tackles out of none made. So that shows what kind of defender he is. He was definitely more involved getting forward,
attack minded. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Jesse Oronen started in goal. More than capable keeper. Yeah, you know, he would have liked to come away with a clean sheet after getting a very rare start. But yeah, as you say, mate, you know, the Greeks managed to turn us over and do the double over us. It was just you know, when we obviously got to half time at 0-0, but I think there was a little bit of inevitability about the feeling in the stadium from friends who I've spoke to. You know, it was sort of like everyone expected it to be Rive's last dance, which it did turn out to be. Yeah, it was just all a bit sad, really. You know, the fans were sort of making their feelings known towards Palolita chairman and towards Rive and that, but it was much more of a thank you but goodbye, Rive. You know, rather than an all-out witch hunt for him, which was nice. There was the respect of what he has achieved.
It felt that the anger was more aimed at Arilati, the chairman of the FA.
Exactly that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there was lots of people holding their shoes in the air, and some of them even ended up on the running track.
They did. It's one thing to hold your shoe up in protest. Do you know the significance of that, where it comes from?
I think it means just sling your hook, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what it means. I just wonder where it came from. But to be holding your shoe up is one thing. To hurl it onto the running track, it shows a quite different
level of anger.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm so angry, I'm going to walk home barefoot.
Yeah, or with one shoe, even worse.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as you said, back to the game, mate. It was just it was just all a bit sad, really.
Yeah, I mean the goals for Greece were decent strikes. One was a ball played through, beat the offside. I mean, he was miles onside, held his position, broke through the defence, down to the left-hand side of the 6-yard box, just smashed it past Joronen. Nothing could be done there. And the second goal, the ball is played through. The keeper comes out again. He heads it. It's not a poor header, but it does fall to one of their players, and he's quite a long way out from goal. There's several defenders and the keeper between him and the goal, and he just kind of, well, I don't know what golf club he hit it with, but it just sort of, it was low. It was sort of on the half volley low, but he struck it. He didn't lob it, and the ball just sort of floated up and over and was still travelling forwards. You know, as it hit the back of the net. It didn't just sort of drop into the goal. I thought it was quite an impressive strike, and yeah, that was it, really, wasn't it? I mean, looking at the lineups in that game and kind of players that came on, no new faces, but Ollila came on, Ant-Man, Urho Nissilä got another run out, another sort of 20 minutes or so, as did Teemu Pukki, and he had one chance towards the end of the game where he broke through and he just couldn't quite get the ball under control enough to set off the afterburners that, you know, we know he still has had.
Yeah.
Don't like to say it, really, do you? But if this is, well, it is the end of the year. It's end of Rive. It's the end of the Revolution. When I look at the squad, there's not loads of players that I think, these 5 are awful. They should all be out and bring in the new ones. But I also wouldn't mind seeing a forward line of Hawkins, Ant-Man, Keskinen, Valakari, a fit firing Marcus Force up there.
Yeah.
Which means that most of those that have starting recently wouldn't get in the team. So I am a little bit conflicted about it. You know,
I mean, you mentioned Oni Valakari, and he was recalled to the squad. Didn't get any game time at all. I mean, he was on the end of a bit of a backlash for some maybe ill-advised comments or misinterpreted comments that he made about certain social media people smuggling people. I don't know. You know, but anyway, he was actually talking about fake news. That's what he was talking about, and saying people should do their own research before they believe everything that's published. And yeah, maybe we should do that before we have a go at him about what he said.
Should we research what he said before we comment on what he said?
Yeah. But no,
but that situation was going on at the time, regardless of you know, we're not editorialising, we're just sort of reporting on what was going on at the time.
Back to the point, he was recalled to the squad, and you know, which I was quite excited about. He's made a good start to life in AIK in Sweden, and yeah, didn't get a second of game time, so just a bit of a weird one. But yeah, I think we need to move on to the events that happened after the Greece game, and yeah, when poor old Rive received his P45 and marching orders.
Yeah, so you talked about what happened right after the game, and then it was announced with to no one's surprise really that Rive would no longer be the head coach. And you know, we started this show before Rive was the coach, and you know, we saw the rise and we've seen the decline, and it feels like the right time. In fact, it probably feels past the right time.
Yeah,
maybe it should have been at the end of the previous qualifying campaign before this Nations League started. Really,
I think the thing is when you look at it, it's easy to forget that Rive has been in charge of Huuhkajat for 8 years. It's you know, and that is a bloody long time. Do you know what I mean? So maybe it is just time for a refresh. You know, like there's not many, even in international football, there's not many people who hold on to a job for that long. You know, and continually be successful with the same club or the same side or the same national team. So yeah, it's just one of those cycles. It's run its course. It's gone in its cycle. I just really didn't want Rive to, you know, pee all over his legacy, and for us to get so angry with the recent results that we forgot that he led us to our greatest ever achievement. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I really want him to walk away with his head held high. Do you know what I mean? But the recent results make that tricky. But when the dust settles, I think they already do realise that he did give us some amazing moments, and we have to thank him for that.
And we also had Mark Hayton with a voice note about Rive.
I think we've seen it coming. So we have seen for a while now the results and the performances haven't really been there for the Huuhkajat, for the lads. And I think maybe 5 or 6 episodes ago, I think we said at the start of this Nations League campaign, you know, give him a statue and a handshake, and then let's start to change up the leadership for Rive. And I think we look good in patches in the game since, but we haven't really been able to turn it around. So it's a sad day to watch Rive kind of like go out with a whimper, because he's been such a monumental figure in Finnish football history. I do think that we've overlooked a bit just how bad it was back when Rive took over. So the golden generation had pretty much all but retired. Mixu had come in and messed up a lot of really talented players. Bakke came in, lost faith with everything, and we were by the end playing 7 defenders on a regular basis. And we looked absolutely rudderless when Rive came in. He came in, brought in pragmatism, straightforward tactics, basically tried to copy the Leicester City sort of 4-4-2 low block counter-attack, which worked incredibly well. But then even after he took over, he lost, Roma and Alex Ring decided not that he didn't want to be called up anymore. Perpa retired, Moisander retired. There's a lot of really big hitter players who would have sort of sunk any other regime, and yet in this time of chaos, with big players kind of leaving, moving on out, Rive put together a team that started to win games, make impressive results. I think he was the first manager to, beat like France and Hungary and Greece and a couple of others. Like, his scalp list is pretty impressive. And at the end of the day, we're never going to forget that, that night in Helsinki against Liechtenstein, when we all rumbled onto the pitch, throwing players into the air, and then watching the sort of long shadow of Markku Kanerva with his fist in the air, having made it to our first tournament. And that moment and that figure, that memory should be enshrined somewhere around the stadium. He needs a statue and a proper, to properly take his rightful place. The stuff that happened after, we did well at the tournament. We could consider ourselves a bit unlucky. That Russia game could have gone either way. And then since then, he's had to deal with a sort of, unfortunately, kind of a decreasing talent pool. Pukki hit his prime and his peak and is now in the back end of his career, who's been a massive thing. Tim Sparv retired. He was an engine for us. Paulus Ariuri, Joona Toivio, the actual, the thing about that spine of his first generation team, they basically all retired. And with the new crop, he's tried to change things up a few times, to play more technical football because we're not physically what we once were. And that's been a really tough transition. I still, still when you look back, I don't, it's hard to say that it's anything to do with the coaches, the management. We've had to deal with a lot of personnel issues, a lot of player issues. And I think his leadership, the way he talks after games, the way he interviews, the way he comments, it's always been calm. It's always been composed. It's always been really kind of like down to earth, getting things done. And I think that's really something that we'll have to keep a hold of. So the Revolution has run its course, and the next one, well, I just hope the next one can kind of take some of the great traits that Markku Rive had and take us forward. Yeah, sad day. We have to look to the future. I still think the man deserves a statue.
Great, thanks for that, Mark. I think and I hope that in the future future coaches will build on what he's done, because there's so many. The structure of the first team in the under-21s is feeding players through to the first team, and that future coaches will be able to build on what he's done as well. So it's sad, but we go on. I think people were expecting that Jani Honkavaro was in place during this autumn and would be taken over, but it seems like that's not going to happen now.
No, well, there's rumours about him going to Djurgården.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't. To my shame, I haven't kept up with that news.
Well, the Asicor Kloppit group is keeping very much up to date with that news and sharing links and stories, most of which seem to be originating in Sweden.
Yeah.
But there's no sort of confirmation yet.
But yeah, the rumor seems to be gathering pace, and I think that is an attractive proposition for Honsel. So it's a weird one, but yeah, it leaves us with a space to fill. And yeah, I personally, the only sort of candidates I've heard, which was again just a rumor from a while ago, from the previous time when Rive's jacket was on a shaky nail, and that was the the guy who was most recently employed by Freiburg, the German guy, Christian Streich. Apparently it was quite a strong rumour. Palolito decided to stick with Rive, and that sort of, the flames on that fire sort of died down. But, I think if he was interested, I'll be getting straight back on the phone to him.
Yeah, I don't know this guy, so I can't really comment on him. Whenever the names get mentioned of Finnish coaches, there's no one there that really puts a fire under me. I mean, we were quite new into this show when Rive came in 8 years ago, so I hadn't been following the national team that closely by that time. So I might have had the same attitude about him then, but I have been in Finnish football since, and I don't know which of the actual Finnish coaches would make me think, oh, actually them, unless we're talking about the under-21s coach. But he's got a job to do.
He does have a job to do in the immediate future, which we will touch on in a little while. But that there is a school of thought that, it worked with Rive, that step up from under-21 manager to head coach of the A national team. So why can't we follow that pathway again? And let Bunner have a crack. So it's an interesting one. The other one who sort of maybe bandied about is it too early for Tim Sparv to be given the keys to the castle? I mean, he's been sort of learning his trade at Sparta Prague. He came and got involved in the Huuhkajat setup recently, if you believe it was as the role as player liaison officer, or whatever you want to call it, go between. He's certainly got the passion for it, I would have thought. But is it too early? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I would think if he's going to do that, then have him with a more experienced coach, rather than someone who hasn't had experience of leading a team themselves. Coaching's one thing. Then coaching in the national team, that's a step up, and that's more experience. But then to become head coach seems a bit, I don't know, seems a bit soon, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, listener, we've got absolutely no concrete information for you whatsoever. We've just got...
Yeah, good job it's not us making the decisions, eh?
Absolutely right, yeah. I was just, while you were talking, trying to look at what's coming up for the Huuhkajat next. It just finished the Nations League. Isn't there another qualifying campaign coming up really soon, like straight down the road?
Yeah, World Cup qualifying is next, and I'm pretty sure that the draw is on the 13th of December, and that will tell us who we're playing in our next qualifiers.
And those will probably be played in spring and autumn next year.
Indeed.
And so if they start in spring, but the under-21s have got a competition in June that we will talk about shortly, then that's going to make things difficult if the under-21s coach wants to carry on with that job and see that job through to the end, which I'm sure he does.
Indeed. Nothing's impossible. You know that with your own workload, Mark. But
well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's part with that idle speculation and let's be fair, barely informed speculation for now, and let's move on to the Helmarit. And this, listener, is where it starts to get a little bit more positive. The Helmarit, the Finnish women's national team, had a really tough Euro qualifying campaign this year. They were in a really tough group. If you need reminding, then I will remind you that they were playing against
Italy, Netherlands, Norway.
That's the one.
Yep.
And they came bottom of the group, but it was quite close. Like the top, Italy finished top on 9, then Netherlands on 9, Norway 7, Finland 5 points. So there wasn't much between them, and a lot of those games were lost by a single goal. So it It was a tough group.
But against that opposition, I don't think the girls did bad, to be honest. Especially with that 2-1 win against Italy at home, which we banked early on, and draws against the Netherlands and Norway are not to be sniffed at. So it wasn't bad.
And so that got them into the first round of this playoffs. And quite comprehensive aggregate victory against Montenegro, which set them up for this two-legged fixture against Scotland. Yes. And well, I watched the highlights earlier, and I think it says quite a lot that the Scotland 0 Finland 0 game had 6 minutes of highlights.
Yeah. But the main takeaway from that, Mark, is they came away from Easter Road in Edinburgh with the clean sheet intact. Obviously they would have hoped for the win out there. They proved that they can win away in Scotland before, as we touched on in the last episode. But to come away from the first game of the doubleheader with your clean sheet intact, 0-0, get to take them back home, I think they would have been happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I'm just having a little look at the stats here. It seems fairly even. I don't actually see any possession stats here, but six attempts for Finland against 8 from Scotland, and yet many of those attempts from both sides seem to be kind of long range and not too much trouble. Well, actually, that said, I remember this game, Anna Tamminen started in goal for Helmarit, and she pulled off a couple of useful saves to keep things even. But I think you're right. It's then back to Bolt Arena, wasn't it? This one, Bolt Arena in Helsinki for the second leg, and that was. Well, that was a much more lively and a very different affair. There seemed to be a reasonable crowd in Scotland, and I just looking at it, very big. It looked like a big ground, and there were a lot of green seats visible, but plenty of people. But then back in Finland, there seems to be a momentum building behind the women's national team, and they're getting some decent crowds in there, and Bolt Arena looked like it had another good crowd in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of the SMU core went down to the Bolt Arena to support the Helmarit. Obviously, they were looking for something to cheer them up after following the men for a little while. So. But and the Helmarit really did repay that faith, because they certainly did deliver, and it started off with a bang after just not even 10 minutes gone, and Natalia Kuika absolutely levers a long range shot, and to give Finland the opening goal 1-0.
It seemed to have a bit of swaz on it, because it was moving through the air a bit, and it wasn't that far from the keeper, but she just didn't get anything on it, and that must have settled some nerves and woken up the crowd as well, and the second goal followed 20 minutes later. Sorry,
another long shot.
Yeah, describe the shot if you can.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, it was just the highlights. Yeah, it was just another long shot from, I think it was from outside the box, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and again, the Scotland keeper just seemed to get nowhere near it. It was in the back of the net before she sort of knew what was going on. But it was brilliant, mate.
Couple of other shots that. Another shot from Finland, I think, early on, that hit the bar as well, and there was a fair bit of snow around the stadium for this game, and when it hits the bar and the snow goes flying up in the air. Say again?
Did you see the video of the little tractor clearing the snow off the pitch before the match?
No.
Oh yeah, you need to check it out. It's quite funny.
I mean, it's not exactly tropical weather up in Scotland, but when you come to a game and it's like, oh, okay, this is a whole another level of winter we're dealing with here.
Yeah. But no, it was really good, and yeah, I think it was just touching again on that second goal. I think it was Linda Salstrom who provided the pass over to Lehtala for her to let fly with that fantastic shot. But yeah, obviously amazing to see Linda still involved and doing great things for the team. It was really, really good, mate.
Yeah, and she's really seems to be making a big impact in recent games. Lehtala as well. Her name is she scored some goals and she nearly had another one in that game and I don't know, star seems to be rising recently for the Helmarit.
There was one. Sorry to butt in, mate.
No,
But there was just one other thing I wanted to mention about Linda Salstrom. She was recognised recently with an award for activism. Really,
Okay.
you know, yeah, she's we know that she's been standing up for human rights and people's rights, the right for anyone to play football and enjoy their football in an environment free of hostility and abuse and negativity. And yeah, she had that thing that went a bit viral in Sweden where someone in the crowd had been shouting abuse. I don't know if it was necessarily directed at her per se, but had been shouting some sort of abuse. And she went over and confronted the fan and said, you know, what do you think you're doing coming to the football, which is basically our place of work, and abusing us? So yeah, she's been recognised for her activism and got herself a nice big award for that. So yeah, kudos to Linda.
Yeah, excellent, very very good, and that win took the Helmarit into. It was quite a circuitous route from finishing bottom of their qualifying group in the Euros into this playoffs, but they're now in the Euros next summer, and
in Switzerland.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know if I've got the actual dates in front of me here. No, but when does that competition take place? We got the under-21 Euros in June, and the women's
in around that time as well,
and the World Club Cup.
It's all happening.
And I'm just looking now that the Women's Nations League starts again in February. So Finland, we talked about it before. Finland playing Serbia, Hungary, and Belarus.
We're basically playing the Axis powers
dictatorship cup that they're in. But the final game there in that group is on June the 3rd.
Yeah,
That's going to go straight through.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, alive! I'm not. I can't say I'm that fussed about the World Club Cup or the Club World Cup or whatever it is. Gianni Fantino's grand folly. But two national teams in a European competition, that is going to keep us busy.
Yeah, it's yes, the women's Euro is the 2nd to the 27th of July, mate. There you go. So you can get the under 21 championship out of the way first, and then you can settle down for the women's Euro.
Oh, jeez. Okay, yeah, there you go. There you go, listener. You got football all through the summer, just when you thought there was nothing to do in a long 10. When I was a kid, that 10 weeks between the end of the season and the start of the next one seemed like an eternity. And now there is no break. It doesn't stop.
It does not stop. We love it.
Okay, Keke, talk about the Pikkuhuuhkajat, the men's under-21s team. We've alluded to it a couple of times, but talk through what they've done.
Yeah, again, another smashing achievement. We've done the doom and gloom of the men's team, but yeah, the future looks bright. It's obviously the under 21s, the Pikkuhuuhkajat, they've qualified for their own European Championship, which is going to be, I think, their first game. It's in Slovakia,
Yes.
So at least they're the first. They'll have their first 3 group games. They're all in the same city in Slovakia.
The 12th, the 15th, and the 18th of June. I've got that in front of me.
Yeah, that's it. And in our group, we will be playing the Netherlands, Ukraine, and Denmark. So so exciting opposition there. But yeah, the way they qualified was really like fantastic. Really, I mean, started off with an away game. It was again a double header against Norway. Started off with an away game back on Friday the 15th of November, an absolute age ago. But who would have thought it? Finland come away with a 5-1 win. That was the home game. Sorry, that was the home game. Yeah, 5-1 win for the Pikkuhuuhkajat. There was a lot of the names who we've seen called up into the men's A national side drop back down to the under 21s for this double header, and I think it's only fair. The guys went back to the under 21s to really push this through and try and cement this qualification. And hopefully
you're talking about Keskinen, Valta, Terho, Galvez, even
Talvitie, it's all those guys. So and they all pitched in with goals and got themselves, almost all of those guys got themselves on the score sheet. So in that 5-1 game. So it's I think it would be a great way for them to sort of put a marker down for getting called back up to the A side if they can go to the European Championships and do something. So good luck to them. But yeah, as I said, 5-1, unbelievable result in the first leg, and then we went away to Norway. There was about 3 or 4 of the SMU core made the trip to Norway and was in the stadium there. So Ilari and the other lads. So
good work.
Yeah, well done to them. Yeah, unbelievable. But and Finland went 1-0 up. Took control of the game, went 1-0 up just before the hour. Terho again with a goal. We did end up on a 2-1 reverse in that game with Norway getting 2 late goals. But
it makes it look makes it look a worse result than it perhaps was when they come so late.
Indeed, yeah, but yeah, the with all the goals that we had in the bag from the home leg, there was nothing to worry about. We saw the game out and went through on aggregate 3-6. So absolutely bonkers score. But let the wild celebrations begin, because that is, for an under 21 team from a country like Finland to make it to the Euro finals is a cracking achievement. Got to be said. As I said, mate, lots of those names we're familiar with already, and a lot of them we'll be hearing a lot more about in the future, no doubt.
Yeah, and you've got to expect that they will be those bigger names will want to be playing in that Euros next spring.
Yeah,
as well.
Totally. So, I really believe so. Yeah.
All right, very good. So, see, listener, we told you it wasn't all doom and gloom. There was some doom, and then there was some. I'm too tired to even think what's the opposite of doom. It's certainly not gloom. I know that they go together. They soon go together. Oh man, I'm leaving it there. I'm leaving all this in because it's all content anyway. It's all words.
Indeed, yeah.
I'm not sure if I've got an idea about doing something during the closed season to get a little something out for you, dear listeners, over the Christmas and period and the closed season. But let's see if I can pull that together. But I think for this episode, Keke, this international special, I think we're pretty much done. Thanks for being there.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Always, yeah.
Thanks to Ali for his voice note. And thanks to Mark for his voice note as well. And listener, until next episode, thanks for listening to the Finnish Football Show. Goodbye. You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. Escape to Suomi on Twitter is now Finnish Football Show on X. And you will find us on Blue Sky at Finnish Football Pod. See the links in the episode description, along with the links to the Finnish Football Show merch.